Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another episode of Dead Money. Been playing a little bit again, got some more hand histories to go over from the Wynn and from the Aria. First, we'll start with a quick story. There was this Chinese woman in the game. She was older. It's just a nice, sweet lady. I don't think she had more than $400 or $500 in front of her at any point, which I was with her. There was a hand where I think I raised in the low jack, and I don't even remember what happened after that. I just know that she folded the button. But then she said to me right after that hand, she said, I folded Queen 10 offsuit to you because I didn't think I could get lucky 2 times in a row. So I presume the hand before it, she had Queen 10 off and made something strong with it and didn't want to push her luck. Now when I hear things like this, it's hard to know what the hell to say back to that, and it's hard to not be demeaning if I do choose to say something back to it. It's like I'm in the low jack, and you don't even have 100 big blinds. And the reason you folded Queen 10 off is because you didn't think you could get lucky twice in a row, not because Queen 10 off is just an automatic fold in your situation 1,000 out of 1,000 times. I mean, that's why we have a game, folks. That's why there's money in poker. Because of people who think like this, and they're everywhere. Anyway, the first hand to talk about from the Wynn goes like this. Our old friend Brent Jenkins, one of our previous guests on the show, he raises under the gun to 15. There's a call in middle position. I got ace-queen off in the big blind. It's a hand I like to 3-bet, but I know that Brent can 4-bet, and I just don't want to have to deal with that, and I know calling is fine, so I call. Flop comes queen 6-5, 2 spades. I check, Brent checks, and the in-position flatter, this young Asian kid, he bets 20 into 45, and I check raise to 80, and he calls. Now, when he bets only 20 on the flop, I just assume that ace-queen is going to be the nuts. I think people tend to have very big sizing tells, especially on the flop. Like if he flopped a hand better than ace-queen here, it's not that I never ever see people down betting, but it's pretty unusual. I mean, he could have 6s or 5s or 6-5, and if he's got any of that, I'm just expecting him to go 30, 35 plus. I mean, definitely more than half pot. It doesn't seem like a big deal because we're only talking about 1 or 2 extra $5 chips here, but it's the percentage. If he had bet 30 instead of 20, I mean, now he's betting 50% more than the amount he did bet. So these types of sizing tells can be very revealing early in hands, and they can make a huge difference. Turn looks pretty safe. It's a deuce, no spade. I bet 140 into 200, and he's thinking for a while. And then, fuck me, he raises to 475. Jesus, what? What has gone on here? And he's still got a bunch left, I don't know, probably a good 900. And I look at these situations as though he's already gone all in, because what are the chances he doesn't shove the river? Now, it's really shitty because I thought about this for a little bit, but I think it's actually a relatively easy fold. Ace-queen here is pretty much going to be the bottom of my check-raising value range on this flop, followed up with a turn bet. I mean, I'm going to have 6s and 5s, or 6s or 5s. So this is just my one pair hand. And he's repping strength against strength. And since I didn't think he had anything on the flop, am I putting him squarely on the nut straight now with 4-3? I mean, maybe. Or maybe he did flop a big hand and I was wrong. Either way, though, I see these so-so regs, and that's what this guy seemed to be throughout the session. They're not that bad, they're just not that good. And I see them getting in there with 4-3 suited all the time. I don't know why, but I see it all the time. But the most important thing is, he's repping a very, very narrow value range at this point. I mean, he's got to have sets or straights. And what I see time after time after time from this player type is when they're repping a very, very thin value range, they're pretty much never going to be bluffing. Because they're going to know that that they're repping a very, very, very thin value range, and therefore they can only beat you if they have this. And that you're going to want to call for that reason. You're going to be tempted to call because, I can only lose if he has this. But he's going to be turning that over and showing you that every single time. If you're going up against a fish who's repping very thin, those are the guys you're going to want to call more often. But this type, no. In a situation like this, 4-3 might be the only hand that he can have, but it's also the only hand that makes any sense. I mean, I would say sets or 6s or 5s also make sense, but either one, I don't think I need to stack off here. I fold. And seeing as how he played the rest of the session, not just the hands he was turning over, just his way of being at the table suggested this guy wasn't running some crazy bluff at you there. I mean, I was new to the game, and if anyone was ever going to bluff in that situation, I mean, maybe I could see him doing it if they're bluff jamming. But when he makes it 475, he's reopening the betting. So if he has like ace-3 or ace-4 of spades, or if he has a pair and a flush draw, or like 7-8 of spades, or just some type of hand like that, these hands don't want to get jammed on. And when they're facing big blind check raises and then followed up with a pretty hefty sized turn bet, they have just an easy call. They know that you could be nutted, and they're getting the price, they're deep, they're in position. They're not going to want to risk you 3-bet jamming the turn when all they have is a draw, and then you get to just blow them off it. Then it costs them more money to not see the river instead of less money to see the river. So next hand, there's an open raise to 15. I 3-bet with 9-8 suited to 50, and Brent took his time and cold 4-bet the small blind to 155, and I had a funny feeling he might have aces, just because it took him a while and his size wasn't very big, and gets back to me, but we're deep, and 9-8 suited is one of the premier hands for cracking aces, so I call. Then the flop comes ace-ace-queen, rainbow, and he checks. All right, well, if I think he has aces, that's not a good flop for me, so I check back. Turn was nothing, then he bets 125. I fold, and he shows 4 aces. Well, okay. Then I played another hand with Brent. He raised to 15 from early position. There was a middle position call. I called the big blind with pocket 2s. And the flop is, here we go, 6-deuce-3, rainbow. I check. Brent checks. In position checks. Fuck. Turn is the ace of clubs, flush draw now. I check. All right, someone's going to bet now for sure. Brent checks. In position checks. I already want to, burn the whole casino down. River is a 3. I fill up. All right, I got to try and get some money in there somehow. I just bet 60, going 1.33x pot, and now Brent raises to 220, and it folds back to me. And look, I'm not saying I should have folded here, but folding here is not as ridiculous as it sounds. I mean, I bet 1.33x on the river, and now he's raising. This is not likely to be a bluff. In fact, I would say it's almost never a bluff. Almost guaranteed that this is not a bluff. In fact, let's just say I guarantee you this is not a bluff. And what value range am I going to beat, especially when I overbet the river? I mean, he's not going to have 4-5. He would have. There's just no way he would have checked 4-5 on the flop and turn. I just cannot see it. And if he has just a 3, like 3-4 or 3-5 somehow, I mean, I don't know if Brent would show up with that from this early position, but those hands I don't think he's going to want to raise either. So when he's raising, I mean, it's like, what is he raising besides a better full house? I mean, that doesn't make any sense either, so it's a spot where I don't think folding is really something you should actually do, but it's not as crazy as it sounds. The only thing is to make sure you don't re-raise river. I don't think re-raise river is going to accomplish anything here. So I call, and he has pocket 6s. My goodness, what a bullet to dodge. He flops me set over set, checks top set, and then when this ace comes on the turn, he checks that as well. He said after he thought the in-position guy might bet the ace, and the in-position player was pretty tight. So, yeah, I'm sure he would have bet if he had an ace, but I think Brent checking the flop and turn would make a lot more sense if the in-position player was aggressive. So I get completely cold deck but lose next to nothing for it, so that felt nice. Table was pretty boring. Been a lot of boring games lately, but I table changed, and we finally did get a very fishy player. It was just limp calling a lot, just making a lot of really boneheaded mistakes post-flop. Just can tell it's just clicking buttons, and he's just not going to play well at all. So he limps. I raise to 25 with tens. There's 2 calls, including the fish. I'm sandwiched between the 2 players. Flop comes 2, 3, 4, 2 spades. He donks 25, the fish. I raise to 90. Other player folds. Fish calls, turn as a king. He check calls 200 into about 250, 260. He thought for a while. And I was thinking, okay, please just put like a 3 on the river. And it was a 3. Paired the board. Flush misses. Perfect. He checks. I jam like whatever he had left, 400 or 500. And he called right away. And pocket tens are good. So that felt nice to make a fairly thin value shove. But to me, it wasn't really that thin. I mean, it was like, it's thin on the surface, but like, this is just an obvious jam. When you think about how long it took him to call the turn, I mean, I don't know what he's got, but like, you know that it's going to be something pretty marginal. And when he donks the flop, raising plays really well, because then the imposition player is going to have to be really strong to cold 3-bet this flop once you've raised. If I had called and then there's a raise behind me, I'm probably not going to call that either, but in that scenario, the bluffing range should be a lot wider, or at least in your mind you could pretend it would be, even though it probably still won't be. But if you raise the donk better and then you get raised behind it, then you don't even have to think twice about anything. So I was in this game for about 5 hours, and I don't even remember how I did. I think I lost a little. Figured I would just come back the next day, but I changed my mind, and I decided to go back to the Aria. I got there late, got there close to 3 in the morning. Still coming off a freshly big win, and I thought, all right, maybe I can really keep the curse reversed here and maybe have another big night. First spot that came up, I was new. There was a raise and a call. I called the button with 5s, and the small blind 3-bet to 100, and it folds back to me. And I was still deep with the small blind. And, I mean, it was just some young white guy. He's a reg. I mean, I don't know how good he is, but we just know he's a reg. And we're deep enough, and I actually don't think this is an automatic call, and I actually folded this time and felt a little apprehensive about doing it, but I wanted to have not a image that I think I'm more likely to get paid. I actually wanted to have established a tighter image to this point, which is going to be the opposite of what most people are going to be thinking when it comes to set mining in position. We know that I'm not going to get there that much, and you're going to lose a lot of fucking money chasing sets against the wrong players. You know, you could hit your set and not win a big pot, and if you don't, that's a real disaster, especially if you have no other means for winning the pot. So, I want to be able to comfortably float flops and attack very, very scary runouts, knowing that I'm going to get folds pretty often. I don't know if I'm in position to accomplish that yet. I haven't been there that long. So I actually don't think I have to peel here. I mean, if I had called and ended up folding right on the flop, I mean, is this a total disaster? No. But I didn't think it was necessary. Now, when I joined the game, there was this very fishy-looking player sitting on my right. I mean, there was another seat, but I took the seat that would put this guy on my right. He looked to be in his mid-30s. He was well-dressed this evening. Seemed to be just there to have a good time. He was friendly when I sat down. He looked to be some type of Hispanic, but I'm not really sure. He was the only one straddling. Then he gets into a hand where I think this was just a single raise pot. And the board ran out King, Jack, 6, 6, 5. And the small blind had checked over to our GQ man. And he had bet the river. I think he bet 340. This pot was fairly sizable. And the small blind calls King, Jack, 6, 6, 5. And GQ said, good call. And then turned over Ace, King. And then the small blind turned over Ace, King. So they split. Now, that looks like a clear slow roll when he says good call, but then he turns over Ace, King. But I actually don't think he meant a slow roll at all. Either that or he's just the biggest troll I've ever met. Because I said to him, I was like, you didn't want him to call? He said, oh, I know, like, if I'm called there, then I'm probably losing. So, like, he seemed to have felt relieved that he didn't lose, when he bets ace-king on king-jack 665. No flushes are possible. And sometimes I just don't feel like going down the rabbit hole of all these cesspool players and asking him, well, if you're so scared of him calling you with a better hand, then why bet? Boy, it's amazing what comes out of these players' mouths. And with a straight face, they say these things. Anyway, so we get a new player. He buys him at 1,500. He looks like he was there to put some money in. He was trying to get the straddle going. I mean, he was just talking a little bit, he was trying to bring some energy to the game. And he quickly gets into a 3-bet pot where 3 spades came on the turn. He was heads up with another player, and that other player ended up check folding to the new guy. Then he shows ace-queen of spades. He shows the nut flush, 1 card to the royal, but then Mr. GQ, who had just very sadly been called when he had ace-king on king-jack 665, he says to this other guy, and the way he said it to him, it seems like maybe they knew each other, but I don't think they did know each other. But he said to him, he's like, check would have done so much for you there. He's like, he's going to come out blasting the river. He's like, that's a check. And I didn't say anything to this. And it's not even because I wholeheartedly disagreed. I mean, yeah, checking back the nuts there sometimes is going to play well. But if you wish to bet the nuts, it's probably not that bad of an idea. So GQ is just getting to be a bit of a know-it-all here, and of course nothing he's saying is making a bit of sense, and we're all looking forward to stacking this guy. So then the new face, who had just showed the nuts in that hand, he had just lost a hand bluffing. Then he raised to 30 from early position and folds over to me in the big blind. I got queens, and I've talked about this many times, how when people usually open 15 to 20 and then they suddenly tank pre-flop, or at least go a lot bigger than they normally do, that it gets me really sketched out. I probably should not have been as sketched out as I was. I should just make it 120, maybe even 150. If he 4-bets, I can deal with it then. Maybe even go with it. I mean, it's not 3 p.m., it's 3 in the morning. So that tends to widen your get-in ranges. But anyway, I mitigate and 3-bet to 105. He calls, and the flop comes 9, deuce, 3, 2 hearts. I have the queen of hearts. And I just get the feeling he's going to be betting if I check. So I do check. And he bets 75, a little more than a third. And I thought about making this crazy overstuff of going all in for like 1,500 total, or whatever it would have been, maybe just 1,300. But I changed my mind and went with 300. And he calls right away. And the turn was a bit awkward. It was not a heart, but it was a king. And it's a spot where it might help me to try and flash him a live read and see if I can feel some sort of way to go as to whether or not that king hit him. I mean, the read would be more like not thinking it did hit him, more like thinking, okay, it didn't hit him, or I'm just not sure. In either event, it's not a terrible card to just check, because if he has like a small medium pair, he might not call another hefty size bet, whereas he might call one on the river if it goes check, check. He could have turned top pair if he has a flush draw, though I block some of the king-high flush draws. If he wants the bluff, I mean, he can do that. It's a spot where, I can check and see what he does, and this is the type of opponent I might be able to play correctly against very often. If he's bluffing, I might be able to sniff it out, and if he's got it, I might be able to sniff it out. Anyway, so I check, and he checks right back. And when he checks right back, I'm like, all right, he's capped. I am not behind right now. And then the river is another 3. All the draws miss. I presume myself to be ahead of a pair, but I mean, I don't know. He just lost bluffing, so maybe he's not going to bluff again. I mean, let's just bet and try and get called by something. So I bet 430. He folds right away. And then he was saying he had too many outs and that he had 5-4 of hearts, which was an open-ended straight flush draw since the 2 and 3 were hearts. Now that actually makes sense. I can believe that. Him betting small on the flop, calling the check raise, just checking back turn because he doesn't want to get jammed on, or thinks he's not going to get any folds because he just lost a bluff. Either way, how tilting it was now to realize, gee, if I had just jammed the flop like I had originally thought to, he's not folding that fucking hand, no way. And then I would have just stacked him. Now, I'm not saying I should have stuffed, but it's just, Another one of these hands at the Aria. This seems to happen every hand I play. Wire to wire, the whole session, with the exception of what happened the week before, where I come oh so close to making one decision, end up making another decision, but then the decision I almost made would have just made me the richest man on the planet. So the next hand, I got pocket sixes in the small blind. GQ raises to 25 on the button. The straddle's on. I 3-bet to 110. He calls, and the flop comes ace 8-6, all hearts. And once again, I think if I check, I'm going to be facing a bet. And I also thought, oh, well, I already 3-bet out of position and check raise the flop. Are they going to think I would do it again? I mean, these are the kinds of things that enter into the minds of people who play 2-5, because this is how the opposition tends to think. So I check, and he bets something I forget. I check raise, and then he stuffs, like a little over 800. A snap call, of course. And the Aria lets you run it twice at 2-5. And he offered to run it twice, and I just held up one finger. I ain't running it twice at 2-5, all right? I don't care what anybody thinks as far as it's better for the game for this reason or for that reason. I don't care. At 2-5, I'm just running it once, because I know that people are not going to be able to handle the variance nearly as well as I'm going to handle it. If I lose here, it's fine. If they lose, they're going to be going crazy. So I'm not giving them any sort of extra chance at getting their money back, helping them mitigate their risk. No way. Not when I play 2-5 all the time. I mean, the variance is always going to be relatively high because that's how poker is, but I don't need to lower the variance in a game I play every day. And when I played higher back in the day, I mean, maybe like there was like 1 or 2 times where I ran it twice. Other than that, played many, many big all-ins and never ever ran it twice. Let's just go pound for pound, blood for blood. I just want there to be max pain. I want someone to feel the pain. It's okay if it's me, but I want to ensure that somebody feels maximum pain, and running it twice takes away from that. Now, if I was playing higher again, because in these last few years, when I have played higher occasionally, I actually have run it twice. And it's because I'm not playing the game very often, and in that instance, I just feel like reducing the variance seems like a sign of aging. But either way, I'm not doing this at 2-5. I'm just not. I don't care if they don't double rake. We're just going to run it once and live and die with whatever happens. Turn is nothing, and the river is a jack of hearts, so there's 4 hearts out there now, so fuck me. You know what I fucking lost to? Because you know I lost. 9-8 offsuit. This guy opens button with 9-8 off, calls a 3-bet in position, flops a pair and a 9-high flush draw, bets this flop when checks to, 3-bet, shoves it in, and then hits this river. And he was actually only 32%. I mean, he has no fold equity whatsoever once I check raise. I mean, his 3-bet jam is a total punt. But nevertheless, he's only punting with 32%. I mean, since I had a set, I thought maybe he would add a little bit less, but he's got all the backdoors. He can run into a boat, he can run into a straight, and he's got his little heart. So this pot was close to 1900 and very tilted, of course, because the hand before with the pocket queens, I came this close to stacking somebody had I chosen to jam the flop. Still win a decent-sized pot. Very next hand, clipped. What else is new? We're back in the nightmare, which is the Aria. But no, winning wasn't enough for this guy. Doubling up wasn't enough for GQ. He starts racking up, which is fine. He wants to hit and run, fine. It's his fucking money. But now he starts taunting me endlessly. He would not stop. I have never been taunted this much. I mean, in fact, lately people are telling me nice hand after I lose. They're congratulating me for losing, congratulating me for bluffing and putting them in a tough spot, congratulating me for also having a big hand even though they had me beat. This guy's like, should have run it twice, bro. He's like, you always got to run it twice. He's like, you got greedy. He's like, you got too greedy. He was acting as though that like he deserved to win the hand more than I did because he wanted to run it twice and I didn't. And I'm like getting punished, getting what I deserve essentially for wanting to just give myself my best chance at winning all the money, which is just running it once. He didn't bring up karma, but holy shit. I mean, this guy, who was bigger than me, he was taller by a few inches and just bigger than me. I mean, I didn't get angry. I was being funny about it, but I kind of wanted to fight him. And I still want to fight him. I don't even care if I lose the fight. Fuck this guy. I mean, what is he, 12 fucking years old? So as he's going on and on about this, I was like, oh yeah, like this is really going to keep me up at night. I'm really going to like regret not running this twice. Oh no. He's like, the board would have paired on the second time. Thinking the board didn't need to pair either time, idiot. You were crushed. And then I said to him, I was like, I know that like this is like a new experience for you, meaning winning. He's like, yeah. He's like, I got lucky. I was like, no. I said, that wasn't luck. I said, that was all you. I said, don't let anybody tell you that was luck. That was all you and all your brilliance. So now, of course, I need to top up again. And as he's racking up, the dealer is like, oh, do you want to sell him some chips? He's like, yeah, you want to buy some chips? I was like, I'm not buying chips from you. Like, I would not take them. He's like, they're lucky chips. Fucking piece of shit. What is it with this goddamn Aria fucking casino? Why does this always happen 90%? Well, always isn't 90%. You know what I'm trying to say. What the fuck is it with this place? Why can't I just not have these kinds of things happen for like a couple of days? This is like 1 hour into the fucking game. I mean, I was coming off one of the biggest punts I've ever caught. One of the most satisfying punts I've ever caught the week before when I have a set and this guy just dumps his whole stack to me for no fucking reason. 1, 2, 3. This. Then on top of it, there were some young women playing slot machines, I guess. And over the course of like 15 to 20 minutes, they were like screaming, extremely loud, celebratory screaming. And it was just adding fuel to the fire for me. I mean, it's just so fucking annoying on top of it. Even if I was winning, I was finding this annoying. Everybody was getting annoyed by this. And you see all these dark blue coats all over the floor of the Aria, all these big, tough-looking security people who stare at you. Nobody went up to any of these fucking girls and told them, can you fucking guys shut up? We're in a fucking 5-star casino here. Like, this is just the way it was going. I take a pretty bad beat and a total punt. The guy's taunting me endlessly, and now on top of it, I gotta listen to these fucking white girls scream nonstop for 20 minutes and nobody puts a stop to it? So whatever, on we go. The game is getting short. Then comes a hand where there's an early position raise to 15. I 3-bet King 10 of spades on the button, and the small blind, who I just beat with the pocket queens but didn't get him for everything, he calls and the raiser calls. And the flop comes 9-8-3, so I got air. And they check and I check. And the turn is the jack of clubs, is 2 clubs. So now I'm open-ended and a queen gives me the nuts. And now the small blind bets 75, bets half pot. Other guy calls, I call, and the river is the 6 of clubs, backdoor flush hits. They both check. And this was like maybe 10 or 15 minutes after the bad beats, so I hadn't done anything in that time to indicate that I was tilting, but it was still very freshly removed from it. And I bet 555 over bet. And the small blind is thinking for a while, and I'm thinking, I think I just stepped in one, meaning not a trap, but a situation where it's not good for me because I just took a bad beat. It's 3:30 in the morning. The small blind is this fishy player who just lost a few hands. It's just set up perfectly for me to get called really light by a really stupid hand. And that's exactly what happened. Small blind calls with 10-9 offsuit with a 10 of clubs. So he cold called the 3-bet from the small blind with 10-9 off. Flops top pair, 3-outing me. Turn is a jack. So now he has top pair open-ended, bets this card, and gets not a good river, but he has a club blocker. And that was the difference in him calling, I'm sure. But you know what the other guy folded, the original raiser? After the small blind called my 555 and the action's back to him, he was like, oh, I was going to pay you. So I was going to get called either way. Because he had ace-jack with the ace of clubs. So he opens ace-jack off and gets 3-bet, and there's a cold call. I mean, he calls with ace-jack off, sandwiched between 2 players, closing the action. I mean, this is not that good of an idea. I guess I can see why he did it, but I think that is just a pure 4-bet or fold. And then he turns top pair in this 3-bet pot. Then he blocks flushes with the ace blocker. So they both have a blocker. And when you look closely at this, there were hardly any rivers that could get me in this kind of trouble. There were only 5 or 6. There were plenty of blanks that I just wasn't going to touch at all. If a 7 comes, any 7, and I have split with Mr. 10-9 off. If a queen comes, I have Mr. 10-9 off coolered. If a king comes, I have top pair, and that's the best hand. If an ace comes, Ace Jack is going to have top 2 pair. He's probably going to bet. If a 10 comes, it's going to be 4 to a straight, and I'll have the losing hand because 10-9 off will now have 2 pair. But I think that's a river I might not bet either because it might be hard for me to represent a straight. So there were really only a few clubs, just total dry clubs that could come on the river that wouldn't also give me a straight. It was going to have to be like the 4, the 5, the 6, the deuce, the 3. I mean, it was something like that. There were hardly any rivers that could possibly get me into this kind of trouble. And then it did. So it was just another perfect storm where I lose a big pot and people think now maybe I'm bluffing, even though I can definitely have a flush here. And I'm getting looked up by the guy who calls a fucking cold call 3 bets pre-flop with 10-9 off. I mean, God. So the game is dwindling. I get kings, blind versus blind. Raise and taketh. Now the game breaks. So we got to draw for seats. And there's 4 players. And the first 3 players drew their card first. I drew my last card. Not only did I draw the lowest card, so I have the last choice of what seat to take, I also drew the deuce of clubs, the lowest card in the deck. It's just like this casino is like spitting in my face. So I go to my new table, and the game is great. I can't get anything going, can't get a hand to play, but the game is great, so I'm very excited. I'm planning to be here for a while. Then there's a straddle, and I tentatively limp 8-6 suited in the small blind. The cutoff had limped. And the flop comes ace-5, deuce, rainbow. We all check. Turn is a 7, so now I'm open-ended. I bet 40, and the cutoff called. The cutoff was a fish who had rebought, but you have to figure he's going to be probably capped here at a 7. The river's another 5. Okay, I think that's safe enough card for me to just blast. I won't get called by a 7. So I bet 1.5x pot, and he jams. One can only presume he had a 5. Then I get king, queen off. I raise to 25 over a limp. We go 4 ways. It comes queen, 5, 6, 2 diamonds. I'm second to act out of 4. This is a flop I check pretty often, but I bet 65 just because there's a lot of fishy players, a lot of action. First guy folds, and then I get min raised to 130. And this is just such a fucking insult. And I don't want a 3-bet jam because I don't think he has a huge hand necessarily, but if he has even ace-queen, I don't think he's going to fold. And it was one of these middle-aged white guys who never stops talking but never says anything that makes any sense. And it's just bemoaning his bad luck every time he makes a mistake. So, alright, I don't have any diamonds. I'll just call the 130. I'll just call the min raise and see what happens on the turn. And the turn is the 2 of diamonds, which is a pretty significant card. It completes a flush and a straight, although I doubt he has 3-4. I check, and he only bets 150, but I couldn't imagine this guy betting 150 even into 360 with anything that doesn't have me crushed. I mean, he could have ace-queen with the ace of diamonds. Does he have the fucking nuts now, and he doesn't want to bet too big until later? I mean, he's not going to just have fucking queen jack of clubs, and where I just have him smashed. So I fold. And he just nods his head. Whatever that means. Then I get ace-king. And on the button, I make it 25 over a limp. The big blind calls. We go 3 ways. Flop comes. Queen-jack, 6, rainbow. Big blind check calls 45. We go heads up. The turn, I hit a king. We go check, check. The river is a 7. And then he leads for 2 times the pot, 300. And something else I'll throw in. I earlier had seen this player open limp under the gun. And that hand has nothing to do with this hand, but I just get the sense that someone who's going to open limp under the gun, especially in a game this good, probably doesn't have too many bluffs on this river when he goes 2 times the pot after he check calls queen jack 6, turns a king. I mean, what would he be bluffing with? I mean, people don't do this with queen 10. I think he's just trying to get value from 2 pairs, possibly the hand I have, ace-king or aces, and he could just easily have 10-9 or ace-10, maybe top 2. So I fold. Last hand I got to play was jack-9 of clubs on the button. The guy who I'd folded the king-queen to, who had min-raised me on the flop, he straddles. Cutoff limits, I make it 40, and the straddle 3-bets to 90. And it folds back to me, and this is where I fucked up. I should just 4-bet here, because I knew his 3-bet was just something, not like a shitty hand, but something that's not going to be nutted. And even though I have position and playability, he does not have that big of a hand, and I can just 4-bet and probably win right here. But I just fell right into the auto call type of thinking, and I guess this is what happens when you're just getting pummeled, like I had been this entire session pretty much, and just wasn't thinking. And then he checks dark. I can't remember the time where I've seen this, where I call a 3-bet in position, and then the 3-better checks in the dark. I mean, we see people check in the dark still fairly often when it's a single raise pot, and they're out of position in their first act, obviously. We see dark checks all the time, and even those are pointless, because it's not going to throw anyone off. You're going to check anyway. I mean, we hardly ever see donk betting, okay? Especially from the types who are thinking to check dark on the flop. So it's just stupid. And this was just completely bizarre. So it comes Queen Jack 6, another Queen Jack 6 flop. I don't have any clubs. He's already checked dark, so I didn't think there'd be enough to be gained by betting now, so I just checked back. Turns a king, and he bets 100. Okay, fold. I can't imagine this guy dark checking this flop as the 3-better and then betting this turn card, and he's bluffing. So he shows me ace 10 of clubs. The nuts. Had my clubs crushed too. But had I 4-bet pre to say, like, I don't know, 290, or just go really big just because I know that this guy is going to have exactly this type of hand. A good hand, but a hand that doesn't want to see a huge 4-bet come at him, especially when he's out of position. And had I made this big 4-bet, he probably folds. And if he doesn't, then yeah, he might end up making his nuts, because if let's say I 4-bet and he calls, and it comes Queen Jack X, I mean, he checks. I'm going to have about a pot-sized jam left, but I'm not going to want to do that. So I don't know. I can't say what I would have done. But bottom line is, I was just running into nutted hand after nutted hand after nutted hand. And the one time I was in a good spot to bluff, I get hero called by a ridiculous hand. Just everything ridiculous about this session. I mean, look, variance is so fucked up in poker, but I was looking at my history of playing the Aria 2-5. The Aria opened in December of 2009. It actually started out fine at the 2-5. I mean, I didn't play it very often because I was playing higher back then, but my first 66 or so hours, I was up about 5,000. And remember, it's a 1K cap. And then over the next bunch of years, spanning about 133 hours, I went on a 15K downswing at the Aria 2-5, spanning many years. 15 fucking thousand. And look, I know people who play higher when they are playing lower, whether it's that day or if they're just waiting for their game. Those players tend to be prone to being extremely lag and ridiculous and just think they're invincible. I wasn't fucking doing that. I mean, maybe I was pushing the boundaries here and there, but there is no way I was playing this obscene, over-the-top lag style. I was playing the way I play. And to lose 15 fucking thousand over that few hours, oh my God. I mean, there are whales, fish, whales, who show up to the game expecting to lose. Everyone is expecting them to lose. And they can just play the way they're going to play for 133 hours themselves, and they're going to do way better than minus 15,000. So it's just kind of unfathomable how unkind and cruel this particular game in this particular room has been to me. And I just keep trying to shake it off and shake it off and shake it off, and I just can't fucking shake it. They raised the cap to 1,500 a little over 4 years ago, and I have a little over 100 hours at it, and I've only won back a little bit. So, I know it means nothing, but it's just, out of all the things that have gone on with me in poker in the last bunch of years, one of the things I can't stop thinking about is just how fucking terrible I run in the Aria 2-5. I want to play in this room. I like playing in that fucking room. It's a good room. I like it. I don't care how fucking dark it is. The dealers are good. The games are generally pretty good. I mean, it's hit or miss everywhere every day in this town. It has been since the day I got here, but God, I mean, I know there had to be situations where I ran way above EV in certain rooms and certain streaks, and yeah, okay, I mean, I understand that this is just poker, and there's really nothing to say about this. But it's like, these things get inside your head because it's a little hard for them not to. I mean, I sound like a broken record here. But if I had a day like this at the Wynn, I shrug it off and I'm not going to think too much about it. Because winning feels like a real possibility. It does not at the fucking Aria. I mean, I don't want to just fucking quit the Aria and say, I'm never playing here, I can't win there, because that's fucking ridiculous. That's not how this works. So really the only thing to do is either not play the room or just stop thinking about how cruel the room has been to you. But it's hard to do as much as I want to do that. As much as I try to do that every once in a while. I wasn't even going to play. I changed my mind and did something I normally never do. I went back out at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, whatever time it was. Every time I play a session like I did at the Wynn that day, I just go home and that's it. I come back the next day. I went back out. I wanted some more. And this is what was waiting for me. Then I went to go use my comps, and what I bought was fucking dog shit. So couldn't catch a break that way either. But woe be me. Ho hum. Another wire-to-wire fucking fleet of aggravation at the Aria 2.5. I mean, I have the occasional mixed-in big win like I did the week before, but Jesus, I am fucking cursed at this room. I refuse to believe it, but it just keeps banging me over the head. One more time. All right. Perhaps I'll try again one day. We'll see you next time.